What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast, back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Dustin on the show. What's up, Dustin? Good to have you back.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yo, and we got Bret back on the show. What's up, Bret? Good to have you on.
Hey, yeah, glad to be back here. How's it going, guys?
Going good. Week 9. This is the Week 9 breakdown episode. Week 9 was a lot of fun, a lot of good football. And we're starting to get into a stretch run here in November. The playoffs coming up. November, December is always the most important games, most important weeks of the season. So looking forward to this. Start with Thursday night. The 5-2 Packers at the 4-4 Niners. Packers blow them out. They jump out to a 34-3 lead. Niners get 2 touchdowns in garbage time, but blowout win. The Niners, it's hard to tell because of, if you looked at that game, they had 0 offensive starters that played in the Super Bowl played in that game. The Niners,
that's crazy.
so injury hit. They fall to 4-5 despite, with all those injuries. Bret, do you think the Niners are capable of, if they get healthy, bouncing back and still making the playoffs this year, or do you think this is a lost cause year for them?
Honestly, I'm kind of in between on that because, we don't know exactly the update or the status of the returns for everybody pending,
So 2 updates on that I saw from last week. Jimmy Garoppolo is out, I believe, 6 weeks, and George Kittle is out 8 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So those are 2 big losses right there.
Yeah, it is. And at the same time, it's, obviously they'd like to have Garoppolo in there, but with the, having so many injuries, like, they just last week, like, what was it, the night before or the day of, when they announced the quarterback change.
Yeah.
And they're still in contention, though, is the thing. So they're not, like, way behind. It's not like, oh, it's a lost cause. But at the same time, if you can get these guys back, it might change up a whole, 1 or 2 guys re-entering may change the dynamic of it for good or for worse. But I thought that they were going to be in a much worse position than they are now.
Injuries, yeah.
And they're only like a game or 2.5 games or something, like 2. They're 4 and 5, yeah.
Yeah.
6-2. So and that's the difference from top to bottom in that division. So the fact that they're hanging in with probably the best division in the league right now with the most injuries in the league.
Yeah.
Pretty astonishing, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, they're still there. The thing, like you said, they're in a tough division. I mean, everyone in that division besides the 49ers is above 500, is 5-3 or better.
Right.
Dustin, what do you think on the Niners? I mean, 4-5, the division's kind of, all right there, 5-3, 5-3, 6-2. But with those injuries like Garoppolo and Kittle, those could be enough to keep them out of it this year. Do you think so?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much over just because those are key injuries. Those are their best players, along with Bosa. And I just don't see them having enough firepower to make the playoffs because the NFC is going to be pretty deep this year with teams that are going to be close, with the same record like the Bears and all them. So I see them being on the outside looking in this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you mention it. You talk about 4 injuries to this 49ers team that are probably the biggest, the worst losses you could have to a team. You're talking about the starting quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, the star tight end, George Kittle, their best pass rusher in Nick Bosa, and then their best corner in Richard Sherman, all out.
And several running backs on their depth chart.
Yeah, so Niners really looking against it. Looking at Green Bay, so I tend to agree. I don't think it's the Niners' year. Sometimes injuries dictate it, and I just think the injuries they're going to keep fighting, and they might finish around 500, but in that division, I don't know if that's going to be enough.
I feel you. Trust me. I don't think so either. But with 2020, man,
You
I
never
don't
know.
know.
Looking at Green Bay, they improved to 6-2. Dustin, when you look at Green Bay, they've got Devontae Adams, and the Rodgers Devontae Adams connection is carrying that team along with Aaron Jones when healthy. But besides those two and Aaron Rodgers, how is this thing working? How are the Packers 6-2 with we keep harping on it. They don't have many weapons. How are they keep winning, and how is nobody like saying we're just going to take Devontae Adams out of the game and make Aaron Rodgers beat us with Robert Tonyan and Valdez Scantling and guys like that?
Yeah, I mean, see, that's the thing, man. Aaron Rodgers, bro, he's a winner. That's what he is. You can give him scraps, and he'll make them look like superstars. But anyways, the Packers are kind of in a dangerous position. They're one big injury at receiver away from having their season turn around really bad.
Yeah. And so we didn't get to talk last week, and I'll go to you, Bret, on this one. The Packers lost in the NFC Championship game because of a lack of run defense. You had Raheem Mostert, who at the time no one really knew, just go off on him. Now, 2 weeks ago, Dalvin Cook went off for 4 touchdowns and like 200-some yards. The Packers didn't address the run D at all, really, in the offseason. They could have drafted Patrick Queen, something like that. They didn't. And it seems to be, I think at the end of the day, the Packers have serious issues, especially in the run D. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We noticed, like you said, NFC Championship game, that was the biggest thing offseason, talking about how they were going to fix that. And they, as far as the expectations of what all of us would have had, it's not there.
Yeah.
Granted, Dalvin Cook is a god. Apparently, he's been unstoppable lately. But that's you're still, the Packers had no, like you said, they take Dalvin Cook out of the game, or sorry, if you take Dalvin Cook out of the game for the Vikings, you're gonna beat them, and they couldn't do that. Just like the Lions, couldn't do that the following week. So, but the thing is, even the fact that Cook, even if you had half of that, just the way it seemed like their schemes, I don't know, they're definitely off, and they don't. It's like they're not communicating very well, the transition, whether it's the man or the zone, I don't know, but something's off.
Yeah, and I mean, when it comes to stopping the run, a big key is getting off of blocks and not getting your ass kicked. And I feel like the Packers are more of a finesse defense. They're more of a we want to get a lead and rush the passer. We don't want to play that hard nose stop a running back like Dalvin Cook. We don't want to do that. We want to rush the passer, get interceptions, and not have to tackle a beast running back. And so that's why I think the Packers are vulnerable this year. You take Devontae Adams out of the game. Aaron Jones is pretty good, but he's not quite. I mean, I don't know. Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones are their stars, but defensively they're definitely beatable. So we'll see how that goes. I think it's going to be something to watch definitely in the playoffs. I think we all agree.
Question for you, Alex.
Huh?
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so why is it, do you think, that the Packers are being so lazy when it comes to putting more pieces around Aaron Rodgers on offense and defense?
Because they don't like him. They don't want him. They're done with him. That's obvious, I think. Gutekunst, the GM, Brian Gutekunst, and the head coach, Matt LaFleur, are tired of Aaron Rodgers. They want their own guy.
Go to the draft. Look at the draft.
Yeah, when you look at Green Bay, all the credit goes to Aaron Rodgers. And I get the feeling that Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur want some credit for their own. They're young, up-and-coming guys, I feel like, at least the head coaches. And they want credit, and they feel like they're smarter than they get credit for. And so I think they want to show that they can develop and get Jordan Love to be a star, and then all the credit's going to go to them. But it's credit is overrated. Super Bowls is where it's at. If I was Green Bay, I tell you what, I would have drafted a Patrick Queen or somebody with the first pick. I would have gotten a wide receiver. They could have had DK Metcalf. They could have had Chase Claypool. If you're not going to address the run D, at least give Aaron Rodgers some more help on offense. But they didn't do either. They got A.J. Dillon, but what is he, like their third string running back? Jordan Love, he's on the bench. So they didn't improve, and it's obvious that they still have weaknesses. Too bad my Bears can't run the ball, though. So,
regardless, you still have to look for the future and still get a receiver because Jordan Love's going to have nobody when he gets ready to start.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers had a comment last week that said the last guy I vouched for, because that's another thing to talk about at the trade deadline. The Packers had an opportunity and were trying to get Will Fuller from the Texans, but it didn't work out. They couldn't agree on compensation. Imagine if you had Will Fuller to Devontae Adams in that offense. We would be a little more concerned about Green Bay right now and their potential. But the fact that they couldn't get an agreement there, and then Aaron Rodgers had a comment that said, the last time I vouched for a receiver, he got sent to Buffalo. And he's talking about Jake Kumara. So he's clearly not happy and feels like they don't listen to him. So there's definitely some issues in Green Bay, and I think we're going to see the end of the Rodgers era sooner rather than later.
I would not be mad about it.
Yeah, get him out of there. Let's go to the next game here. Broncos at Falcons on Sunday. The Falcons, this is kind of surprising to me. The Falcons jump out to a 27-6 lead on Denver. Broncos come back, cut it to a one-score game at 34-27, but unable to execute on the final drive, going 3-and-out. The Broncos equal their 2019 turnover amount in Week 9 of this season with 16, so they're much more turnover-prone. Neither of these two teams looks like they're playoff bound. Bret, what's your early impressions of Drew Lock, the Broncos' young quarterback?
He's hanging in there longer than recent Broncos quarterbacks have, so that's a start.
Yeah.
But seriously, I think they're taking their time, developing. They don't have the organization. Overall, doesn't have I guess in comparison, like the Browns, where for 20 so years, just instant.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough with the Broncos just because they've been inconsistent over the last few years. But they lost. They've lost some close games.
And that's going to happen with a young quarterback. Yeah.
Right, and losing to the Titans by 2, the Steelers by, it was like a touchdown or right under one score game. If I remember, I don't think they did very well against. Did they play the Buccaneers? Yeah, the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and then Locke had a great clutch win over the Chargers in Week 8. So
yeah, that was a close one.
Yeah, he's showing some clutch. I didn't expect them to beat the Chargers, and he really balled out in that one. They beat the Patriots.
Right, and that was a close one. They lost to a Falcons team that's been struggling. So that's,
So it's hard to tell.
That statement about wanting the rivalry with the Chiefs, man, I don't know what that was all about. But it's a good mentality to have to want to get to that point. And the fact that your quarterback for that organization, if you're a fan, is publicly announcing that, whether it's people look at it and are proud of him saying that, or they think it's laughable, it's still the fact that that's where he wants to be in his regime there at Denver, and that's where he wants to get at and get back to that. So he's going to have the confidence and motivation, and they're going to take their time with it. I would stick with it and see where we can go.
Yeah, if I'm a fan, I like comments like that. I want him to be saying stuff like that because that's where we're trying to get to. But if you're building and you're coming off a big win over the Chargers, so you get to 3-4, you got an opportunity to get to 500 at a bad Falcons team. I expected a lot more out of this team. Falling behind 27-6 to the Falcons. If I'm a Broncos fan, I would have spiked my controller off the ground. Like, I wouldn't be happy. What do you think, Dustin? Broncos missed a prime opportunity to get to 500 this week.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good Broncos team when healthy. You have to think about it. They don't got Cortland Sutton and Von Miller, so a lot of key injuries for them also. But I think they have a good future, with Jerry Jeudy and stuff like that. And right now, there's just a lot of teams with key injuries that are screwing up their seasons. It's 2020. What can we expect at this point?
So, interim head coach Raheem Morris for the Falcons, he comes in, if you remember, an awful start for Atlanta, but now they improved to, 3-6. What do you think, Dustin, of the Falcons? Do you like what Raheem Morris is doing? Do you think he should be the coach next year? Or do you think they should hit the reset button and rebuild and maybe possibly move on from Matt Ryan?
I mean, yeah, Raheem Morris has obviously proven that he's doing a great job so far with turning the Atlanta Falcons around.
Yeah.
And Matty Ice, I think Atlanta's his home, and that's where he should be. Because I don't think they'll find a better quarterback right now.
Yeah.
And but I definitely think Raheem Morris should be the guy in Atlanta, especially if they keep going on a big win streak.
Yeah, I'd like to see where they end up at the end of the season. But he could do a really, himself a big favor if he can get some more wins. And, whether it's in Atlanta or somewhere else, he should get an opportunity. He's done a good job.
Yeah, I think they definitely shouldn't be thinking, about somebody else yet. That's for sure.
Well, they were talking about trading, setting everything back, restarting. They were talking about trading Julio Jones at the trade deadline. There's been talk about moving on from Matt Ryan. What do you think?
I mean, if you look back to the our Falcons preview of the season, we've mentioned it a couple times this year as well. The hangover that's just it's looming and looming. If they're not far away, and especially with how they finished the season last year. So the way they couldn't have done any worse starting this season as far as progression from the end of last year. But if this might be the chance. He might be the guy that has gotten them that curse or whatever you want to call it lifted, and they're moving past it. What?
You're saying Raheem Morris?
Right, and I mean, I'm not saying necessarily that he's the answer because it's still too early to tell. But over the course, definitely don't put it, away that he can't be the coach. If I'm Atlanta, keep it out there right now because he could be 3-0. The game against the Lions that was an Atlanta-Detroit game, but it and it played out how it did. But he could be under. It's a huge difference from how they felt a month ago down there in Georgia. So let's see what happens. They've got confidence and boosted here. If he finishes out the season like you guys said, with some things to show, with some wins, why not?
Yeah, I think. It's if you look back at history, when a team wants to get rid of like a pass, they want to get rid of that 28-3 blown lead. It might just be best, in my opinion, to reset the whole thing. I don't know. It depends how good of a draft pick they're going to get or whatever. But if you keep, let's say, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and Grady Jarrett, the pieces from that 28-3, and then you struggle the next year, people are going to point to those pieces and be like, that's the reason they blew the lead, not coaching or this and that. So it's a tough balance, but I agree with Dustin there. I don't know if you're going to do better than Matt Ryan at this point. It just depends if you're still trying to win now or if you want to take a couple of years to hit the reset button and rebuild, entirely. So we'll see what Arthur Blank and this Falcons team does. I mean, they already fired the head coach and the GM, so there's going to be a lot of changes there.
And There was also plenty of chances in that Super Bowl game where it was coaching. Atlanta had chances to run the ball, to run down the clock, and he chose to pass a lot of times on a 3rd and 2 and a 3rd and 4 when they could have just ran down the clock.
Yeah.
Okay, if they can use their franchise, franchise Julio, restructure a contract to keep it. If you're, I agree though. Like, exactly with what you said. If they keep these pieces and then next year, tank or whatever, people are going to start blaming them, and then it's going to be a huge issue. But just like Dustin said, it was coaching. It seemed like in that Super Bowl where they were right there, it could have been different decisions. So, with that being said, and the fact that Matt Ryan, having Julio Jones, yeah, you want to restart, but if you don't want to give up necessarily, I don't know what their franchise tag situation is, but do that, restructure a contract to keep them 1 year. If it works out with the changes that you've made to this point, great.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't, then, at least you gave yourself a position, put yourself in a position to try something that looks like it could potentially work without jeopardizing, the next 5 years.
Yeah, and I mean, I just feel like that's where they're headed. They had Julio Jones on the trade block at the trade deadline. They didn't move him. I don't expect Julio to be back next year. I really don't. And then you got veteran pieces. You got Todd Gurley, who's he definitely wants to play for a contender, not just any team. So he's having a better year than a lot of people expected. But I think we'll see a lot how this season ends, what the Falcons are going to do going forward. Let's go to Seahawks at the Bills, where the Bills jump out to a 27-10 lead and hang on to win 44-34. The Bills improve to 7-2 and appear headed to their first division championship since 1995. The Seahawks fall to 6-2. Russell Wilson has a rare bad game where he struggles to protect the ball with 4 turnovers, and the Seahawks defense is a major concern. I think we can agree that turnover Russell Wilson isn't what we're normally going to see. So that's throw that out the window. The issue in Seattle is defense. Dustin, we were talking about the Seahawks team being a contender in the NFC. Defense might be the one thing that trips them up in the playoffs.
Yeah, that defense is struggling, and I mean, if they go against a team like the Packers, or a New Orleans or a Tampa Bay team who can put up points in a hurry,
they're going to be. I'm just kidding.
They're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
and also, speaking of the 4 turnovers, I think that 4 turnover game might have took Russell Wilson out of first place in the MVP.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that's a tough loss. You don't want to lose the Bills like that, and Russell Wilson contributed in the loss with those turnovers, so not a good game for him. Bret, when you look at this Bills team improving to 7-2, looking on pace to win their division and host a playoff game, how far do you think this Bills team can go this year? And, I mean, Josh Allen, he looks to be the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, this, if you want to show that you guys are the real deal and that things have changed, this is definitely the year to do it. It's going to be somebody else, hopefully, bearing a huge comeback, from the Patriots winning the division. So this is a huge thing, huge step for them. People were questioning over the last couple of years, what was going to happen with Buffalo. Were they going to overcome, the hump, regardless of how it happened? And Brady leaving, obviously Brady leaving the division was wanted and hopeful, but it was the biggest blessing that they could have received, because if he'd have stayed, that even if they did have this success at this rate, they still may not have won the division. They may have been in a different seed in the playoffs. Things would be different. So the motivation and confidence that this team has right now it's pretty unmatched, I think.
Yeah. And I'm a big, prove it guy. I got to see stuff before I'm going to predict it to happen. And for the Bills last year, playing a playoff game against the Texans, a game they should have won, but they couldn't close the deal, and Deshaun Watson had a comeback win. I got to see it to believe it, to see the Bills win a playoff game, even if they are hosting it. It'll be a lot of fun to be in Buffalo, maybe some snow on the ground. It could be a fun playoff game. But they got to prove to me that Josh Allen and this team can win in January before I'm going to pick it. So a big win against the Seahawks to get to 7-2. Surprisingly, the Dolphins are right there, a couple games back, fighting in that division. So Buffalo can't take their foot off the gas. They got to finish this year out strong, and they need to win a playoff game to show that they're going in the right direction. Otherwise, if they host a playoff game and don't win it, then people are saying, well, how impressive is that? Is this season, right? To pretty much have the same year as last year if you look at it. So we'll see. Both these teams have question marks. I was really high on Seattle going into this year and earlier in the year, but a bad loss in Buffalo. And the biggest thing is Russell Wilson's playing that one. So we'll see if he bounces back. I think we all expect him to. Let's go to Dustin. Your team, the 5-2 Ravens at the 5-2 Colts. Ravens get a 24-10 win. Colts got out to a 7-0 lead, get the ball back, look like they're going to get some momentum, and then a big fumble by rookie running back Jonathan Taylor gets returned for a touchdown. The Colts are a good team, but in my opinion, to be a great team, you got to win games like this. Do you agree, Dustin?
I definitely agree. And Jonathan Taylor, he's going to be a great player, but he has to get over fumbling the football, man. He did that a lot at Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that, a lot of running backs struggle with is holding on to the football. So he's going to figure out a way to get over that. But I think we'll be all right. I think we rebound tomorrow night against the Titans. And, it's going to be that type of season where we win a couple, lose one, win a couple, lose one, unfortunately.
Yeah, you'll be a good team. You'll make the playoffs, I think, and we'll see. But I think you agree, and you have the same concerns at the beginning of the year, that you're not sure who your quarterback is. Like, it's Phillip Rivers, but who is it next year, and how far can Rivers take you? Is Jacoby Brissett the guy? There are a lot of question marks, and what would you do at the quarterback position? Would you go with Brissett? Do you have confidence in him, or do you think the Colts need to, who's the rookie? Is it Jacob Eason you got?
Yeah, Eason has a big, strong arm, and he's a nice young guy. But I like Brissett, man. I think Jacoby was trending in the right direction before Phillip Rivers came, and I think he would really have something to prove.
Yeah, and we forget that he got hurt last year, and his play got affected by that injury, I think, a little bit too. So it'll be interesting to see if Brissett gets a shot this year. And I think, yeah, like you said, you're a good team with Phillip Rivers, but to take the next step and be a great team, you might have to figure out the quarterback position. Bret, the Ravens improved to 6-2. Lamar Jackson bounces back from a tough loss against the Steelers, has a turnover-free game against Indy. But like we saw in the playoff, his two playoff performances and throughout his history, Lamar Jackson has a tough time protecting the ball and winning the big game. He bounced back and got a big win here. But, we didn't have the podcast last week. Losing to the Steelers, what's your mindset of Lamar Jackson right now? Do you think he's capable of winning the big game and potentially getting this Ravens team to the Super Bowl?
Oh, I absolutely, I do. I think he's capable of doing that at some point. Right now, I don't,
He's still young.
Right, and that game they struggled, and that was a turning point in their season, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that it was gonna obviously be a pivotal game for the division, but I think it's impacted that team, not negatively necessarily, but it gave them more of a focus or an understanding of where they were, I should say. So,
Yeah.
and they maybe thought that they were a little bit more developed and further down the line than they uh, actually seem to be. But
Hmm.
hopefully, that's just them understanding that the Steelers team is great. The Steelers team is good, so they can't let that cause them to feel inadequate. Yeah, you want to win these games, but again, you gotta it is the NFL. And it's all but you're still teams are at different levels, and if you're continuing to progress without allowing that to affect you negatively and stay in your head rent free, then that's the success that you can have. And I think they can do that. It's just, are they going to?
Yeah, and I'm more so on the other side on this. I'm not that much of a believer. We did our season previews on this division, and I had the Ravens win the division. I am going like 14-2, and I had the Steelers going like 12-4. The Steelers look like a better team, a more complete team. It's amazing. You add Big Ben to that team, and damn, they're dangerous. And this Ravens team, that's a tough loss at home to the Steelers. And in my opinion, I just don't think Lamar Jackson can win the big game yet. I really don't. He lost to, the playoff game against, what was it, the Chargers? He should have won that game. I picked them to win. They were the better team. They should have beat the Titans last year. I felt like they were the better team and the favorite. Both games, I believe, were at home. The Lamar Jackson has to prove, and last week that game against the Steelers was a prove-it game for Lamar and this Ravens offense, who set an NFL record last year for rushing the ball, and so they should be able to, beat these big games. And for whatever reason, Lamar Jackson is a little bit more turnover prone in big games and struggles. So I'm not sold on this Ravens team. The Steelers, to me, look much more complete and scary going into January than this Ravens team does. Do you agree, Dustin?
Yeah, Steelers are playing lights out right now, man. And,
Yeah.
I think they're the biggest competition to the Chiefs, defense wise.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to have a take real quick on this Lamar thing. Lamar has to be able to throw the football in the playoffs, and if
Complete
he
those big
doesn't,
throws on third down and stuff. Yeah.
if he's held, if he's in that situation where he has to make a throw to bring his team, to move the chains or a 2-minute drill, I just don't think he'd be able to do it right now at the moment.
And it's not for a lack of weapons. And they just added Des Bryant.
Yeah, I
And
mean they got people everywhere.
yeah, they really do. And so I think, excuses have to go out the window. I know Lamar Jackson's young, but this is the NFL. You got to win. That team is built to win now. So we'll see what happens. But my concern with Lamar Jackson, I was not a fan coming out of college, and that goes against me, right? I'm like, what did I miss? My thing wasn't he's an unreal athlete. He can run the ball. He can do all kinds of crazy stuff. My concern was the turnovers, and he's done a pretty good job in certain games, like this one against Indy, when he protects the ball. Damn, that Ravens team is tough to beat. But in big games, in the two playoff games, in the game against Pittsburgh, he gets a little turnover prone, trying to do too much, a little sloppy, and that's where it kills you. Turnovers in this league will kill you, and it killed him at Louisville. So we'll see if he can. I agree with Dustin on that he has to make the big throw and he has to protect the ball.
Yeah,
So
let me just say I did you know I do agree with the fact that right now, like you guys said, especially after that game, they can't. What I was trying to say is though that this Ravens team has the potential to be
yeah,
very, very good. And it's just my question, right now, no, but they can be at the end of the season. And are they going to be? And that's the big thing that, yeah, like you guys said, it's the passing. That's probably gonna be the key. And besides if it's not the turnovers, because if, like you said, Alex, if he's on doing what he's doing, controlling the ball, they're not going to get beat. So, and they're able to do that. It's just they have to find that consistent flow every week, and they can do it. But at this moment, they're just a little bit away still.
Like, as of right now, at this moment, there was a question that was brought up by Ryan Clark the other day. Who would you take right now if you're building a franchise, Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray?
Kyler Murray.
Murray.
Yep.
Wow, that was simultaneous.
Yeah, so it's something to consider if you're a Ravens fan. And my concern is this: the last two playoff games were at home. The Steelers are 8-0. They're going to be playing on the road this year. They're not going to win that division, so it'll be interesting. But let's move on to a battle of two bad teams: the Texans and the Jags, both 1-6 going into this game. The Jags start rookie 6th-round pick Jake Luton over the injured Gardner Minshew. Much closer than I expected, as the Texans beat the Jags 27-25 on a missed 2-point conversion attempt. Tough year for Houston, but they finally get their second win. In my opinion, and I want to hear this from Dustin, your take on this, because I know you were higher on Gardner Minshew than I was, and so I want to hear your take on this. If I'm the Jags and I'm sitting at 1-7 right now, I am all in on Trevor Lawrence. If I'm the Jags, I'm trying to tank, and I know the Jets are doing a better job, but you can move up one spot. You can go from 2 to 1. If I'm Jacksonville, I gotta have that franchise quarterback, and Minshew and Luton aren't it. And you're not gonna start your rebuild. You're not gonna become the franchise you want to be without that franchise guy. And I just don't think Minshew is it long term. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I made a mistake in believing in Gardner. I mean,
it's all good, bro.
He proved me, that
he's a good quarterback.
Big throws, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, Jacksonville needs to look towards their future and get a franchise quarterback. But I just don't see them being able to get Lawrence. I think Lawrence is going to New York, but man, I would not want him in my division.
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways you can go with this. I'm sure. I mean, what about Zach Wilson? What about Justin Fields, right, from Ohio State? There's some options, but you got to have that franchise guy. I mean, you would agree. Would you agree that Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence is head and shoulders more potential than Gardner Minshew?
Trevor Lawrence, yeah. Zach Wilson, I mean, I don't know much about Zach Wilson. I've seen him play, but, I mean, BYU plays, teams that are, in the not the Power 5 conference most of the time. So, it really hasn't, shocked me about his play, but obviously Trevor Lawrence is the first pick of the draft, so whoever gets him is going to be nice.
I think it's got to be – I think your mindset and my mindset, if I worked for the Jaguars, would be I got to have Trevor Lawrence. That's who I want. I'll trade multiple first-round picks to go up one spot if it gets me Trevor Lawrence. Do you agree, Bret? Would you do the same, or what do you think?
I don't know. Last time we saw that, it's still affecting people, I think.
Who's that?
I don't know. You might know.
Well, you got to hit. You got to hit. I mean, I'm not trading up to draft Mitch Trubisky. I'm trading up to draft Trevor Lawrence. I would trade up to draft Joe Burrow or something like that. I'm not doing it for Mitch Trubisky.
Were you doing it when he was in college?
No, I would do it for Deshaun Watson, just not Mitch Trubisky. I would do it for Trevor Lawrence. It's got to be the quarterback, the prospect has to pass the eye test. And if he doesn't,
right, but how did people feel about Trubisky though? They were all the same way that they are with Lawrence.
I know. No, they weren't Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, he had other quarterbacks in that in his class that shined too and got spotlight. Lawrence it has been a little bit above, and yes, I think I'm not saying that it's an even playing field. I'm just saying the hype for it is what I mean. And I'm not going to say that Lawrence is going to be bad. Sorry. The last time we did this, it did, I don't know.
I know what you're saying. I think this is my prediction. I think Joe Burrow, this year's number 1 pick, and Trevor Lawrence, next year's number 1 pick, are not the same. These guys have the hype, and deservedly so, of Peyton Manning, of who else am I thinking? Like that elite guy that can get you where you need to go. All right. Mitch Trubisky went high because no one jumped off the tape. All right. You can tell the difference if someone. We've seen enough out of Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow to be like number 1 pick. I gotta have him. Mitch Trubisky wasn't a I gotta have guy. He's the best of this class. But if we had traded up, I mean, I thought Deshaun Watson was that, and I still think he's pretty damn special, and Patrick Mahomes is too. You just have to hit on that pick. It's got to be the right guy, and Mitch Trubisky wasn't, and Matt Nagy was hired to develop him, and he wasn't either. So,
and that's what I'm saying. That I'm not saying that it's going to be like that, and it could. Who knows what's going to happen with Trubisky? But if with the trading up thing, it's dangerous. Is all I'm saying.
Oh, if you're going to do it, it's got to be a home run pick, and that's why I would have never done it for Mitch. I said, but going into that draft, I would have traded up to number 1 to take Deshaun Watson. And I think if I had Deshaun Watson 2-3 years later, I'd be like, I made the right decision. That's why when you look at Mitch Trubisky, they're like, I don't know if we made the right decision. So you have to, if you're going to trade up, if you're going to take a quarterback that high, he's got to be a home run pick. And speaking of this year's draft, I don't really see a weakness. You got Tua, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. These guys are all showing a lot of potential. So let's go to Panthers-Chiefs here in Arrowhead. I didn't even bother throwing this on the TV. I'm like, this is going to be a blowout. This is actually a pretty good game. The Panthers jump out to a 14-3 lead. Chiefs rally back, take a 33-24 lead late. The Panthers nearly they come a 67-yard field goal attempt away from losing this game in Arrowhead. Shockingly, that the Panthers could put up this much of a fight after what we've seen from them, losing to Atlanta, losing to Chicago. Dustin, I know this Chiefs team is sitting at 8-1, but in my opinion, the defending champs do not look as dominant as they have the last 2 years. I think they're very beatable. There's games they could have lost this year that they shouldn't. I thought this Chiefs-Panthers game was going to be a 20-point blowout. Do you think the Chiefs are showing a little bit of weakness, a little bit of what teams can do in the playoffs to beat them?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, they're showing like that teams can slow them down. I mean, all you have to do is contain Mahomes and, get in his face and slow down these receivers, and they're average at running the ball at times, so there is ways to slow down this Chiefs, offense.
Yeah, and I don't think their defense is elite. I think it's good, but it's not elite, and you can score on them. Bret, what do you think? Do you see the Chiefs as somewhat vulnerable despite being 8-1?
No, I mean, yeah, because anybody could be vulnerable. If an opponent is just, if there's an opponent that just knows them and clicks and figures them out, absolutely. But and it can happen. But I don't see they have shown way too much to me over the past 2 seasons to be in any sense of being alert, I should say.
I agree 100%. The last 2 seasons, they were so dangerous. They're almost impossible to beat. I'm talking about this year, though. Have you seen enough out of them this year that says they're going to repeat? I mean, on paper, absolutely. But on the field, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I can't. I wouldn't bet money on it. No, or like, or in a certain amount. Like, I wouldn't bet my life on it. I should say, not at all. I don't. Yeah, I don't have the confidence to say 100% that they look better or that they, they're still an amazing team.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that and you can the thing is, no matter how good of a team you are, like that Golden State team several years ago, they could have been and gotten better had barring injuries. This, this Chiefs team has a way higher potential than what they've shown this season, and they're seems like I'm not going to say they're regressing, but it's not. If they were better, showing still the progression or that they from the last two seasons, then yes, I would say absolutely. But
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it's not. It looks like it's toned down a little bit just because of the success that they had recently. So, but that's
Well,
still, you never want to go. You always want to go up regardless of where you're at.
what I would say is this: come January, I'm not worried about Patrick Mahomes, not at all. Come January, he's proven to me that he will elevate his game and be the hardest quarterback in football to beat, along with
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers. My other thing that I would say though is that the team around him looks beatable. It does. The defense isn't super impressive. The running game, the receivers. I mean, they're don't get me wrong. They're incredibly talented. They got to be the favorite. But at the same time, for whatever reason, they're playing down to their competition a little bit. The Chargers almost beat them, and rookie Justin Herbert earlier this year. The Panthers almost beat them, and we thought the Panthers were tanking this year. And credit to Carolina and Matt Rule and Teddy Bridgewater. They're overachieving. I know they're only 3-6, but they played the Panthers damn good, and were a missed field goal away from winning that game in Arrowhead. So it's a
they did. Yeah,
shocking, So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see. In my opinion, I would love, like we mentioned earlier, I'd love to see a Steelers Chiefs AFC Championship game. If we get that, that's going to be a hell of a game.
Speaking of Arrowhead, that's going to be another thing come January. Is the Chiefs aren't going to have that very loud crowd.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point right there. And
That's played a role all season, I think, for everybody.
yeah, and who knows? The Steelers at 9-0, 8-0, they could have home field. They could be playing on that shitty Pittsburgh turf, or not turf, but that grass, and
And
so that
guess
could
what?
be.
Right before the playoffs, the whole stadium gets to come in.
Yep.
That would be incredible, huh? Oh wow, how does that work?
So we'll see. But it's going to be fun, and it's interesting to see them, playing down their competition a little bit. Let's go to your team, Bret. The Lions at the Vikings on Sunday. The Vikings, jump out to a 34-13 lead, really get going off the bat. Dalvin Cook carries the team, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cook has been on fire the last 2 weeks, 478 yards, 6 touchdowns in 2 weeks. And in my opinion, if he keeps this up, he needs to be an MVP candidate. But Stafford with 2 interceptions in the game, left in the fourth quarter with a concussion injury, not helmet to helmet, the rare, just sack, and he gets a concussion. That's shitty. To their credit, 2 blocked punts by the Lions in the game, and backup Chase Daniel came in and shows that he's an adequate backup. Throws for a touchdown pass. Vikings improved to 3-5 after looking like they were done for the year, starting 1-5, but they've got 2 in a row and a big Monday Night Football game coming up between the Bears and the Vikings. Bret, what did you think watching this game as a Lions fan? The Lions, they bounced back to 3-3. Is that right? And then 2 straight losses now. What
Yep.
were you thinking after a horrible start to the year to bounce back to 3-3, but now you seem to be coming back down to earth a little bit? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm disappointed for sure. especially from day one. That they should have been 1-0 after week one, and
Mm-hmm.
so that was devastating, especially against a division
Hated
opponent.
Yeah.
And so to be able to bounce back from that, and get back to 3-3, things we're looking. Granted, the game against Atlanta was, I still can't believe that we didn't lose that game, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a win, and it gives you confidence and motivation. And then they just Indy, I don't know. Indy came out and dominated. They got dominated against them. They got dominated against the Vikings. They the I don't know what's going on. I'm not happy, that's for sure. I'm not sure. Stafford, I think he cleared protocol, but didn't get cleared to come back into the game. So I don't think he didn't
Okay.
actually have a concussion. But but Daniel came in, and that's why we got him in the offseason to come in and be able to put us in a position. And the Lions were there, just until the end, and it was they could have had a chance at least, but they just looked dominated. And the defense, we just went out and got Griffin, and he didn't do anything against this team that he was talking about, getting revenge against them all week. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, tell me this, because I'm pissed off as a fan of my team. You guys hired Matt Patricia to fix the defense and to bring the Patriot way. And the Patriot way is no nonsense, smart football, execution, find a way to win, right?
And
Under Matt Patricia, I feel like the Lions are very similar to other teams where they're undisciplined, stupid
I know where you're
penalties.
going. I
Yeah,
know where you're going.
and then this is a defensive coordinator. He built his identity on defense, and to allow Dalvin Cook to go off for 250 plus on the ground game and other defensive issues throughout the year, you have to be pissed off that your head coach, whose specialty is defense, hasn't been able to fix the defense in what, year 3 now?
Yeah, they haven't improved at all. Special teams a little bit, but still it's abysmal. Like, man, it's not good. Giving up. What was it? Cook, man, I went to the Lions Vikings game last year in Detroit, and when they beat
Mm-hmm.
us, they scored 42 points. We scored
Damn.
30. We scored 33 points and lost. So we gave up 540 yards total in that game. There was over 1,000 yards in that game. Ridiculous, both defenses. But it's just we have position. You see that the Lions' offense is there. They can score points. When you put them in a position, they're good. They can win the game. They can be efficient. Stafford leading the 2-minute drill down the field. I hate always constantly being in that heart attack feeling, but the defense, I don't know, man. Like, Trufant's been out. Yeah, we've had injuries. He's for paying him what he's made like 10 million a game. He's played like 2 games, but
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know, man.
I'll tell you this though, so you can't point to individual guys like that, and
no.
I'm just saying from my point of view, like, injuries happen. Injuries happen throughout the entire league. You look at the 49ers, there's, that's Kyle Shanahan's offense, and they're, just blown out with injuries. Injuries happen. It's a physical league. Matt Patricia's job is supposed to implement a scheme where the defense is not a liability. The defense should at least be able to carry the team so that Stafford can do just enough to find a way to win.
Absolutely.
34 points and 250 yards to Dalvin Cook. I don't care who's on the field. That's scheme. That's coaching, bro. That's Patricia.
Oh, absolutely. I feel I want him. I wanted him to be fired. I gave him a chance. They got back to 3-3. Like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
things changed after the bye week. Something happened. It's looking good, and then they came out against the Colts, and then and they let this, like, exactly what you said. What, I don't know if it's I don't know what they're doing with the scheme on the line and what the coaches are doing. You're right. They
Not
are
getting
not.
pressure, stuff like that.
And why? And yeah, and why he need that should have been fixed last year.
Yeah.
It's now talking about how are we going to improve this portion just to get the defense, halfway. Like, come on, halfway there. Like, you're right. Players, it's the NFL. Next guy up, and just like that on any level, as it should be. Um, you know, and I'm just gonna say, yeah, we haven't had everybody, but when you know, and another thing with injury, you have to have everybody prepared. Like people got
Yeah.
to know what their duties are,
Yeah,
and
you got to have the
what
right backups that are ready to go when their number's called.
what we were talking about, which you were going there about the discipline thing, the
Mm-hmm.
10 men on the field on that 70-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
What that is absolutely just I'm just that I don't
Unacceptable.
understand.
That's
I'm not
that's
even mad. Like I don't know what to feel. There should be if you have several coaches,
yeah.
in the preseason, like, hey, you, and you, every single play, not just our safety, every single play, you guys are all responsible for counting on the field, and
Yep.
not one person called a timeout. Yeah, like I said, if Tracy Walker was in there or wasn't hurt, he would have noticed it, would have called timeout. It would have never happened.
But
But
that should not be up to the players. That should be up to the coaching staff. That's the coaching staff's job to
right,
manage the game, see who's on the field, and so if the clock's running down and it's going to be a delay of game, call a timeout. There's not enough players on the field, call a timeout. There's too many players on the field, call a timeout. That's the coach's job. And
absolutely. Even if
and
even if
so
Walker wouldn't, if I wasn't confident in Walker, should still be. You're right. Yeah, the coach's job, and if things like that happen when your star safety's not in there, that's something that should have been emphasized even more. Fact, because he sees everything. So where was the scheme? Everything changes with that, with him being, the hawk before snaps and whatnot. Why was that not emphasized? You know, to the second string over
yeah.
the course of the week more, which then would have, relayed the emphasis over to the coaching staff and everybody else. It's like it never.
So
I
let
don't know,
me ask
man.
you this: falling to 3-5, the Lions at right now are on pace for 6-10. That now they could get a winner here. They get to 7-9, 8-8, 6-10, 5-11, anywhere around there. If that's where they finish, if they miss the playoffs and go anywhere between 7-9 or 5-11, are you comfortable with? Are you willing to say let's fire the head coach and the GM and get a new regime in?
Absolutely.
All right.
If they make the playoffs,
They bought it. If they
no,
make the playoffs, bring them back.
yes, but um, they play some bad. This schedule is very either high percentage of win percentage at the end, or very 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 low. Like these are going to be close games,
Yeah.
and but it's all teams under 500.
You got to
But
beat those teams. If you're going to be a playoff team, you got to beat the bad teams.
right, and these Minnesota, that we should have beat them, but they're looking better. But they were have been considered, or were being considered to be one of the
One
worst.
of the worst.
Yeah, and now we'll see what happens with that. But still,
Yeah.
that's where the difference is being made. Where Minnesota might be on the up and run, and Detroit once again is.
Bottoming out at the wrong time.
We got the Washington football team next, so we'll see what happens.
Let's go to Dustin here. Dustin, the Vikings, who started 1-5, 2 straight wins, they get to 3-5, and they've got a big time Monday Night Football game coming up against the Bears. Back-to-back division wins against the Packers and Vikings. They beat the Bears on Monday Night Football. They'd be at 4-5, and a lot of momentum. And Dalvin Cook seems to be carrying the team. What's your thoughts on the Vikings after back-to-back wins and Cook looking unstoppable?
I'd take it as I think they'll finish 500 or maybe one game below. I mean, I just don't see every team, letting Dalvin Cook do that to them because you have to think about it. The Packers and the Lions, both of those guys lack run defense.
Yeah.
So that, I think, was going to happen, but I don't see Dalvin Cook continuing it against, good teams with good run defenses. But again, if he does, the Vikings could be very dangerous.
They could. And, you can be a bad run D and not allow 250 yards and 2 to 3, 4 touchdowns. You got to put up some effort. And so we'll see. My bold prediction is that Dalvin Cook's not going for, ridiculous numbers on Monday night. I think that the Bears run D is, it hasn't been the best in the league, but I think it'll be good enough. And we'll see. But let's go with Bears Titans because I gotta do some talking on this one. Bears going into Tennessee on a 2-game losing streak. Titans jump out to a 24-3 lead. Hang on to win 24-17 after a failed onside kick. The Bears don't score a touchdown until 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Could not do anything on offense until garbage time. Bears defense kept them in the game somewhat. Did their job, but I'm pissed because like the Lions and Matt Patricia being a defensive coach, supposed to fix the defense, Matt Nagy is the Bears coach, offensive coach, play caller, is supposed to fix the offense. Yeah, all last year was trash Trubisky, throw Trubisky under the bus all season long. That's all I heard. Trubisky sucks. He's the worst quarterback in football. He's holding Matt Nagy's scheme back. You put an average quarterback in that offense with Matt Nagy's scheme and those weapons, and this is a playoff team. Well, we make the switch. Week 3, early as fuck in the season, we make the switch to go with Nick Foles, and we're 2-4 since, and we're on a 3-game losing streak, and our offense can't do shit. I'm done with it. We got to fire Matt Nagy at the end of this year. We got to make the switch. In the meantime, we got to go back to Mitch Trubisky. The longer we wait to go back to Mitch Trubisky, the more games we're going to lose. I think Nick Foles starts on Monday night. I think we lose on Monday night, and we go into our bye week on a 4-game losing streak. And you know what? I'm not feeling it. We're going to be 5-5 going into the bye, and I think that's going to be enough to make the switch to Mitch Trubisky. And maybe he can turn it around, but we're talking Mitch Trubisky. How much faith can we have in Trubisky to turn the team around? So I'm just pissed off. What do you see when you look at this, Dustin, these issues in Chicago? And do you think that was the wrong decision for Matt Nagy to make the switch in Week 3?
At first, I thought bringing in Nick Foles would have been something different for the offense and better.
Yeah.
But, again, after watching Chicago play, Nick Foles isn't athletic, and he can't move the way Trubisky can.
He's a statue back there behind that bad offensive line.
Trubisky is the quarterback you should have with a bad offensive line because he can keep plays going, extend plays, move with his legs, and I don't know.
So Bears Twitter was giving me shit because I was making the same argument on Sunday night, and they were saying, well, if you look at the stats, Mitch Trubisky isn't that much of a threat to run the ball. Do you agree based on the stats, or do you think the threat of the run alone can help open up the offense?
Oh, well, yeah. Anytime you can, you have a good run game, you can play action pass all day long.
Yeah.
But the way I see it is, last year there were signs in games where, they started doing wildcat with Trubisky or, quarterback options and stuff, and they were getting, 5-6 yards a pop. That is a big difference compared to what you're doing now.
Yeah, and what we're doing now is not only is Nick Foles a statue, not only is he not athletic behind a bad offensive line, he's been inaccurate. He hasn't been the better quarterback. The last 5 games since Nick Foles came in and led that comeback against the Falcons, and that was all, holy shit, here we go, the offense has opened up, Nick Foles is the truth, right? Ever since then, even in wins, even in 2 wins, Nick Foles has not been impressive to me. He's been inaccurate. He's made bad decisions. Even in that Falcons game, he could have thrown 2 or 3 interceptions in that comeback, and it wouldn't have happened. But the Falcons didn't make the plays. Bret, what do you see when you look at this Bears team? Because Bears-Lions is coming up in a couple weeks. Are you hoping for Nick Foles still, or would you rather face Mitch Trubisky?
I mean the way that Trubisky's played against the Lions, you know, if that's gonna be how it's gonna play out, then Foles for sure. But I don't know. I don't think it's gonna really matter on our side. But if looking at it, like if it does come down to it, to where every win is obviously needed, but it's gonna be a crucial game regardless. I think if Trubisky comes off now and they start playing him, and he ends up doing well, obviously I think I feel more comfortable playing Foles, honestly. I'd rather play Foles because it's just, I think that they made a mistake, and I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what the Bears are doing, like, with this whole thing. Like,
You're telling me.
It was like, let's show that he can do this and blah, blah, blah. And then he starts, like, really finally showing the improvement. And then you're like, nah, like, I just have no, and I could tell when you were talking about it too, that the same way I was talking about the Lions, like, I don't know what to say. It's crazy. And so, yeah, I think I'd rather play Foles. I think we can beat Foles a lot. He's beatable, more so than Trubisky, I think. I guess regardless of when Trubisky really comes back.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just frustrating because you, Bret, you've been on this podcast since, all last year, and you've heard me, defending Mitch and saying, and killing Nagy, and all off season, all last year. A lot of people disagreed with me on Bears Twitter and on different stuff, saying, Trubisky, he's just an awful quarterback. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in football, and he's holding the offense back. Let's say that's the case. What does that make this offense now under Nick Foles? I'm just curious, because it has been trash. And I watch that product, and I say Trubisky could do better than that. And if, I've never claimed to say Trubisky's a great quarterback. He's an average quarterback at best. But common sense says if you have a horrible offensive line, you put in the more athletic guy, and you don't have a statue back there that has no time and can't do anything. And on top of being a statue, he's been inaccurate. You look back, let's go back to Bears-Lions. How did the Bears win that game? That game-winning touchdown pass to Anthony Miller. Now, we could have lost because the defense gave up a drive and a pass to DeAndre Swift. Yeah, but that pass to Miller was deep and accurate and a game winner and came through in the clutch. I haven't seen Foles come through in the clutch since Atlanta, and I'm just not feeling it. And
I would be, if you would feel how I feel if you were a Lions fan, and I would feel how you feel, a Bears fan. And I think Dustin agrees, but he can sit over there with his Colts.
And so I'm 100% fire Nagy. I'm 100% fire Ryan Pace. And I'm looking at draft prospects. And I got my eye on one, and it's Jamie Newman out of Wake Forest. He was supposed to play for Georgia this year, but he opted out because of COVID. He reminds me of Cam Newton. He's like 6'4", 240, and he's got, he can make all the throws. I'm there. It's happened. I'm looking at quarterback prospects. I'm looking at coaches. I know we're 5-4, and hopefully we put in Trubisky sooner than later, and maybe we have a shot to finish 9-7 and sneak into the playoffs. But I'm pissed as a Bears fan. Talk me out of it, Dustin.
Trubisky, this is a tough situation that you're in because Trubisky is not yet a proven winner, but how do we know that him being benched didn't make him think like, oh, okay, I better really step my game up?
Yeah.
You know?
And the thing is that he was playing decent to start the year. Like, we were 2-0, and I don't know. Go ahead.
He was exactly where the whole city of Chicago finally, where everybody's wanting him to be, where that coaching staff pushed him, kept saying, oh, he can get there, like we were saying.
Yeah.
And then
What happened was Nagy made adjustments. To his credit, Matt Nagy made adjustments to start the year. Instead of playing Trubisky in shotgun, he had a lot more of Trubisky under center, a lot more balanced, trying to run the ball a lot more, and play action, roll out, short passing game, the occasional deep shot. That's what we were doing. And then this is what I predicted would happen too. Nagy made the switch to Foles, and we stopped running the ball, and he started slinging it, started throwing it. I think Foles has thrown over 40 pass attempts like every game. So they trust the veteran backup quarterback, and it's not working out. And it just pisses me off. I want Nagy out. I think Nagy's a shit play caller. He's a poor leader of men. He doesn't get the team to rally around him. Our first and third quarter scoring is atrocious. First and third quarter is when you see coaching adjustments, coaching stuff, first and third quarter. Second and fourth is more so the players are in a groove. The players are doing it. First and third is when you just talk to the coach and he gave you instructions and he's got everything, that's when you tend to see it. And the only time we've ever scored, it seems to be the fourth quarter. So when Matt Nagy stops calling players and it's just go, 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 throw, then that's when we seem to have success. The same thing happened under Trubisky. When it wasn't Nagy trying to be a genius and call all these different little stuff, he had more success when it was 2-minute offense. So as you can tell, I'm pissed. In this Bears-Titans game, the Bears defense held Derrick Henry to just 68 yards rushing. If you told me that, I'd say we took home the win. But nope, we took home the loss. So the Bears fall to 5-4, 3-game losing streak, and we'll take on the Vikings on Monday Night Football.
See, the thing that I see is, I think the Bears need a whole new pieces on offense, man. Their offensive line, they need a legit tailback too. I mean, they don't have a legit running back that can blow the top off of a defense.
I like David Montgomery. I think that the offensive line is trash. That's the core of the problem. I think Saquon Barkley would have trouble behind this offensive line, to be honest. And it's not just blocking, it's penalties and false starts. They're just so bad at everything. I agree we could do better at the running back position. Dave Montgomery hasn't shown out the way we wanted him to. And I wanted Adrian Peterson. Week 1, I wanted Adrian Peterson. I was so pissed that the Bears are not aggressive. They don't go out and bring in free agents. We could have had Quentin Spain to help fix the offensive line. We don't do that. We just sit on our hands. We watch Adrian Peterson go to Detroit, and he's been valuable. He's had a pretty good year for Detroit. So it pisses me off. But I'm sure you can tell that. So let's go Giants, Washington, 1-7 Giants, 2-5 Washington. Daniel Jones is 5-16 in his career, but 4-0 against Washington. Big win for the Giants there. Alex Smith comes in and does pretty well, but throws 2 late fourth quarter interceptions that pretty much hands the game to the Giants. Dustin, what do you think of Daniel Jones? I mean, he's 4-0 against Washington, but 1-16 against everybody else. Do you think the Giants are looking to draft a new quarterback?
I would see what Daniel Jones can do one more year. I mean, he's struggling, but the whole team is struggling. I mean, you can't expect to build a franchise quarterback and give him, below average receivers or, be on a team where the receivers are injured every 5 seconds. I mean,
you're a Notre Dame fan. You dragging Golden Tate right now?
Golden Tate does not want to be in New York. He wants to be with a contender,
Yeah.
And, it's just, I don't know. Daniel Jones makes a lot of mistakes that, a young quarterback makes. But if he don't get over those, then I start the decision to, not have him be my franchise quarterback. But I'd say give it another year or two.
If you're a casual Giants fan, I think that trip on the turf monster in that one game would piss you off enough right there. It's like the defense doesn't even need to tackle you. You're going to tackle your own self. But what do you think, Bret? Is Daniel Jones ever going to turn out to be what the Giants were hoping he was in the draft?
No.
Yeah.
It's it's pretty evident that things are just as bad there as they are on the other side of New York. I wouldn't say that, but
close.
It could reach that.
Yeah.
It's not the time. You made your trade like you did. Having Beckham leave, you got Peppers, and you won that trade. You started building your defense. Keep it going that way. Finding a new start here for your franchise, especially, and you have a defense that can, be somewhat. It can be there with the pieces and the draft picks that you have, but again, they can still win the division this year.
Yeah.
So but that doesn't mean that that he's your guy. But it's
let me ask you this, because I thought in the draft, and I picked the Giants to draft Dwayne Haskins. Do you think they'd be anywhere different right now with Dwayne Haskins compared to Daniel Jones, or the exact same spot?
I think if they don't, they would have treated him better. So I think, and it would have given him a much greater opportunity and mindset and the confidence to be where everybody expected him to be. And I think he would be there, and they would be better. I think Washington deserves what they did. I think they're trash for what they've done. Look, this coming from a Michigan fan, it's just, he had potential. Like the way that he was governed, I don't know. We don't know everything, but something just that kid did not get a chance.
No, I agree, and hopefully he gets another shot somewhere else, because Washington doesn't seem to have any interest in giving him a shot. Then let's go Raiders Chargers. The Raiders win a back and forth game, 31-26. Raiders improved to 5-3. Dustin, are you thinking playoffs for the Raiders, the Vegas Raiders?
Yeah, I think this is the most slept-on team. I mean, the Raiders are playing good, and Derek Carr's playing really good, and Josh Jacobs in the backfield.
Yep, Darren Waller at tight end might be,
Yeah, this is a very slept-on team. Do I see him getting out of the playoffs? No, but I see him making the playoffs.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun to see the Raiders back in the playoffs. It's been a while.
It'd be weird.
What was that?
I said it would definitely be a weird scenario.
Yeah. Herbert continues to look good. Let's go to this game. Cardinals-Dolphins, a great, underrated, sneaky good game to have been watching and check out. Tua in his second career start against Kyler Murray. Back and forth game won by the Dolphins, 34-31, as kicker Zane Gonzalez of the Cardinals misses a 49-yard field goal that would have tied the game. I haven't seen this in a while. An NFL kicker kicks a 49-yarder that would tie the game late, and he doesn't put enough leg on it. The kick falls short. Bret, when's the last time you've seen an NFL kicker kick a 49-yarder and can't hit the crossbar?
I mean,
that's
even
like college stuff.
Yeah, even there, it's very it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could have just been a mishap, like we've
I
seen.
called him new leg after that one.
it well, I mean, let's give him a chance here. It wasn't the double doink, but it was,
Yeah.
and which he's bounced back, by the way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Fucking Cody
but
Parkey.
it's just like a shanked punt or something like that. A pitcher who throws one, over the backstop. Like, it happens. But
How do you not kick it long enough? No, you think he was just trying to focus on accuracy and thought he had enough leg? I mean, that's unreal to kick a 49-yarder short.
yeah, well, he was overthinking it, man, and that's what happens. I don't
Um,
know.
Now, what do you think of Tua? Tua improves to 2-0. That hip doesn't seem to be limiting him at all. He was shaking people and running on them. Tua looking accurate. Man, I've been pretty impressed with Tua 2 starts into his career.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tua's been he's doing exactly what a lot of the haters said he wouldn't, and what a lot of Miami faithful had confidence in him doing. I
Yeah,
still disagree with the decision to switch him out like they did with Fitzpatrick,
I agree.
but it's fortunately working out the best case scenario, which is good. I'm not saying that's not good. I just don't. Even with this, it still wasn't the best decision, but Tua is showing, like you said, he's showing
Why?
no
Or
signs of
yeah,
injury, that being a problem. He looks like he's you know learned from the weeks that he was behind Fitzpatrick. I think it would be benefit him again, like, to have some more. But he's showing that he's been able to convert the learning process from paper to the field.
yeah, and it is, to me, he seems to have natural talent, and natural skill set, and it's translating to the NFL game. Dustin, do you agree on Tua? I mean, a lot of questions about him coming out of Bama and going to the draft, but 2-0 and playing pretty well. Outdoors Kyler Murray. That's going to be a matchup to watch in the NFL going forward.
Yeah, Tua's doing great so far. I mean, like you said, 2-0, and has Miami on the cusp of what could be maybe a playoff season for the Dolphins.
Playoffs? You
And,
talking playoffs?
and hey, I mean, you just never know, man. I mean, what are they? 5-3, 4-3 right now?
5-4, I think, or no, 5-3. I think, yeah, it's pretty good.
And I mean, and that matchup on Sunday is going to be huge because I don't think Arizona can afford to lose 2 in a row.
Yeah. Who do they play next week? Are you talking about Cardinals?
Yeah, I'm talking about the Cardinals.
Cardinals playing. Let me
Cardinals
see.
play the Bills.
Bills. Oh yeah, tough game. Tough game against Josh Allen. It's in Arizona.
Yeah, so that'll be very beneficial at this time of year because it's going to be hot.
I kind of am leaning Cardinals on that one. I do feel like they might bounce back. If it was in Buffalo, I'm saying Bills all day. But in Arizona, I kind of like it. And
See,
how about little brother Tagovailoa getting a win for Maryland? We could be looking at the Tagovailoa brothers in the NFL soon.
No, let's slow down just a little bit.
I like
But
what I
yeah, the Big Ten's shaking up this year. Things are going. It's 2020, man. But
Hey, Michigan teams both suck.
oh, shut up.
Go Irish.
You're not. Oh, you shut up. No, but damn, that we could do a whole nother podcast on this. But
Yeah, okay.
it's Tua. Him and Murray, I think, have like you said, the understanding. Their IQ. It's like Wilson, like one of
Yeah,
the Mahomes. They in different ways. Every quarterback has obviously a higher IQ than most players on the field, but these guys do it. They can use their legs too, and they know when to, and when they're not going to get stopped doing it. Murray, when he runs, good luck.
I think we're getting to a point real quickly, and we might already be there. In the NFL, you have to have a quarterback that can use his legs, that can escape pressure and pick up a first down when you need it with his legs when everybody's covered.
Oh, absolutely. Even if
Yeah,
it's just a little bit, but these
yeah.
guys do it to a whole nother level, which gives you the ability
It's like an
to
actual
open it
weapon.
up,
Yeah.
right? Because like people like Stafford or Rivers or whoever you want to say, any of those guys, they can do that,
But that's
but they
like,
do it when they need to. These
yeah, and
guys
even
can.
so, that's 2010 football, man. It's like 2020, it's becoming, even Andrew Luck had some wheels. You got to have some ability to be
But
able to pick those up. We saw with
these
Nick
guys aren't
Foles
doing it.
where, go ahead.
But what I was going to say, the difference is like with those other quarterbacks, they're picking it up because that's the only thing left. But with Murray and Wilson and Tua, it looks like they're actually, like you said, they're putting that in their offense. They are
Yeah,
choosing. They have possibly other options that can still work, but they think and feel that they are superior enough at that point to make that change right in the middle of the play and just say, you know what, I'm tucking and running. Whereas other quarterbacks aren't just going to be like, oh, I'm tucking and running unless it's the literal only option. So it's
yeah.
dangerous.
What I've seen out of Kyler Murray so far, I like what I see. Incredible athleticism, unreal arm. He can make any throw. He's got a lot of velocity on it. The only thing I worry about with Kyler Murray is the turnovers. He's got to be careful, protect the ball, take less risks, and I think he'll learn that as he goes. But I'm actually pretty impressed with both of those quarterbacks. Dustin, real quick, Cardinals sitting at 5-3, tough loss at home here. Uh, a lot of people picked the Cardinals to make the playoffs this year. Big game against the Bills on deck. Do you still see the Cardinals making the playoffs?
Oh man, this one is a tough question because I mean
Yeah.
they're so inconsistent, they're iffy, but I see them taking an L on Sunday, which will put them at 5-4.
Yeah.
Um, I think they still got one more divisional game at least against Seattle
Yeah.
and LA. So it's gonna be tough.
They're going
If
to be
they go
around that cusp, 8-8, 9-7, trying to get in.
if they go 8-8, I don't see them getting in.
Yeah, but 9-7, 10-6, maybe they can. Do you agree, Brett?
Yeah, I I do. It's gonna be hit or miss. It depends. It's so what. Who knows? One or two games. There could be a couple teams that are in that position to be set with that record at the end of the season. I
Yeah.
can't call it for sure. So it's going to be a flip of the coin here. Ending out the second half of the season.
All right, so let's go to the Steelers Cowboys. And I'm not even going to waste too much time talking about the Cowboys. Let's talk about the Steelers team who's 8-0. And, in my opinion, they're Super Bowl contenders. They find a way to win games. They didn't look great against Dallas, but they found a way to win. They found a way to come through. And this is what I believe it was Dustin was saying. Anytime when we did our previews, we were saying Big Ben's going to be back. Is this team a contender still? And he's like, anytime Big Ben's on the field with that much weapons around him, they're contenders. And it's real in that defense on top of it. That defense might be the best in football. They're nasty. Um, like I said, this is really setting up for Chiefs Steelers with Le'Veon Bell. And I hope that the Steelers continue this and get home field because they're going to need it against Kansas City. What do you think, Brett, about the Steelers team? Are they contenders?
Yeah, I definitely feel that they're contenders. There's no doubt about that. This defense is, looking. I
They're
mean,
nasty.
I mean,
Ball hawks.
there's no.
Yeah,
I don't. I think they're the best defense for sure. And this offense, we've seen this Pittsburgh offense be successful and thrive. With Big Ben. So, and there's, with having a defense like this is the worst thing that you could want to have this offense to have as an opponent. So
Yeah.
they're firing on every single cylinder, and it is going to be hard to put them out.
Yep. Brought in Eric Ebron this offseason, winning road games against the Ravens, their biggest rival.
Does this say anything about the plague of Antonio Brown?
No, I don't think so. I just think that they're talented. Big Ben's always going to be talented. And you put a defense, you give Big Ben a defense like that, he's going to find a way to win you football games. I've always been a Roethlisberger fan. Ever since a rookie, he came in right away and was winning football games. And anytime you give him a defense, they're making the playoffs. You can book it.
Oh,
What do you think,
I,
Dustin? Do you agree with where the Steelers team is going?
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, and I'm gonna always keep my word. Anytime you have Big Ben as your starting quarterback, you have a shot. It doesn't matter. You could have a decimated team, and you got Big Ben, you have a shot. He makes good decisions, rarely turns over the ball, and I mean, it's
hard to bring down. He can do it all. And he's one of those with sneaky athletic a little bit. Even at his age, Big Ben can put the ball down and pick up a first down if he needs to.
Oh, yeah.
That defense is crazy, man. I have to say that defense is probably up there with the Legion of Boom, and I mean,
love it. I want to see AFC Championship game or a cold playoff game, Steelers Chiefs, and see Patrick Mahomes in that offense against TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, and that defense. That's going to be a lot of fun right there.
Do we see a Rodgers Big Ben rematch in the Super Bowl?
No, Green Bay won't get there. Steelers will do their job. Green Bay won't.
Hating on the Packers.
No, I'm saying, hey, if the Packers had drafted Chase Claypool, if they had drafted Patrick Queen, if they got T. Higgins, if they traded for Will Fuller, they've had opportunity after opportunity to help Aaron Rodgers out. And what do they give him? They give him Equinemius St. Brown and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Get that dude some A1 weapons and see what Aaron Rodgers can do with it.
I just want to say, the Steelers' defense 2 years ago was ranked 5th and 4th in the past. So they've had good defenses. I'm wondering what I really feel. I mean, not saying too much about the Brown thing, but it's, you're right. Yeah, this defense is going to be historic, and Big Ben is always going to be there. But I feel like that it helped them change and get all of their, because there was some mixed feelings between guys that were best friends, and it changed. Juju Smith, and you got Le'Veon Bell, and all that, whatever. And somehow they got better. Like, it's crazy.
Well, you know what the Steelers do better than anybody in football? They know how to draft. And they drafted Juju. They drafted Chase Claypool. They drafted Benny Snell, James Conner.
Kevin Bush.
Yes. They know how to draft T.J. Watt.
Imagine if he didn't get hurt, too. The defense, wow.
Drafting does everything. If you've got a team and a GM that know how to draft, you can go places. Look at the Saints, how they've continued success because they can draft. The Packers have made dumb decisions in the draft, especially of recent, and it's hurt them. So, let's go to Sunday Night Football. Expected to be the game of the week. Saints-Bucks rematch from Week 1. The Antonio Brown debut in Tampa Bay, all the hype around this game. I had my popcorn ready. I was ready for a great game. And then next thing you know, it's 21-0 Saints. Then it's 28-0 Saints, 31-0 Saints, and there was no coming back. 38-3 Saints over the Bucks. The Saints sweep Tampa Bay this year. I hope we get a rematch in the playoffs, but they sweep them. Tom Brady throws 3 picks. Some of them, I don't know what Tom Brady was doing. Dustin, let me go to you. Is 43-year-old Tom Brady finally starting to show his age?
I don't think it's much of him starting to show his age. I just think like the Saints team is better than what we're thinking. I mean, the Saints are finally starting to show what they're capable of, and they forced Brady to 3 turnovers, and I feel like the Saints can be the real deal.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, they did a good job of getting to him, getting pressure on him, forcing him to bad throws. And Sean Payton, in my opinion, is like the best in football at having a game plan ready for his opposition, knowing how to adjust the game to who he's playing and be successful with it. What do you think,
I do have to say, though,
go ahead, Dustin.
Bruce Arians needs to stop blaming Tom Brady every single time they lose. And he needs to take responsibility as a coach because, your defense fell apart. And,
yes.
I mean,
there's ways to win with an old Tom Brady. Like, even at 43 years old, how about not asking Tom Brady to sling it like he's prime Tom Brady? How about run the ball with Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, those guys?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to cause turmoil, I think, if he keeps putting the losses on Brady.
Brady can handle it. Of all the quarterbacks in football that can handle criticism, it's Tom Brady. I think he'll bounce back from it in a good way. But it's just a bad look because it's like, come on now. Like, that's not all on Brady.
Nobody wants to play for a coach that does that.
Yeah.
I mean, Brady, like other players, I'm saying, like it's a bad rep overall, right?
Yeah, so we'll see. But I'm not as high on the Saints as you, Dustin. I think, this is my bold prediction, we're going to get a rematch, or I'm hoping for a rematch. And if we do get a third Saints-Bucks game in the playoffs, I would put a decent chunk of money on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, confident?
I'm not buying into this 0-2 in the regular season. Tom Brady is not a regular season quarterback. He's a January quarterback.
Hey, well, FanDuel just put all their stuff up in Motor City, and Michigan's online betting's opening up. And speaking of that, Indiana has it.
Well, Indiana has it. I gotta make sure the matchup comes, and if the matchup comes, we'll talk about it on the podcast. I'll remember this. You guys remember it too. We'll talk about it if it happens.
All right. I mean, I just bringing it up, but now I'm lit. Let's do this thing.
Let's do it.
This matchup.
Dustin, you think I'm crazy?
I mean, no, but I mean, I understand what you're trying to say, but I just don't think that they have enough to be able to stop Drew Brees, because when Drew Brees is on fire, that man is the best quarterback in the league.
I agree. I'm not hating on Drew Brees or nothing, but look at the Saints the last couple of years in the playoffs. They haven't impressed me. They're beatable. And if I'm, this would be such a Tom Brady thing to do. Get swept in the regular season, have the rematch in January, and watch Brady play his best game that he's played against him.
I mean, I agree 100% with that, but also the Saints, if you look back, I mean, they just had bad luck. And I feel like the bad luck might be over with now, because this is really – it's getting down to crunch time. I don't see Drew Brees playing in 2 years.
Yeah, and they're trying to get a ring for Brees so he can go off into the sunset like that. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I hope we get it, because that'll be fun to talk about. Let's go to Monday night, so after the Saints-Bucks game, we were all hyped for that. No one gave a shit about Monday night. Then the blowout happened Sunday night, and I'm talking with my friend Josh, and I'm like, this game's got to be better than Sunday night. And I'm like, I'm pretty excited to watch it, because at 2-5 with Cam Newton, this is like a must-win for the Patriots if they're going to make the playoffs. You don't fall 2-6. You don't lose to the winless Jets and still make the playoffs. Joe Flacco and the Jets, they'll take a 27-17 lead in the going into the fourth quarter. I was worried, but Patriots come back, get a 30-27 win, and improve to 3-5. How worried were you, Bret, about the Jets beating the Patriots? I mean, do you care at all? Do you want to see the Patriots in the playoffs, or is it fun seeing the Patriots struggle for the first time in a while?
It's fun seeing them struggle, but I want Cam Newton to be successful.
Yeah, same.
And I don't want it. I don't want the Patriots. I'm not gonna sit here and wish like an organization to go through things like that's, not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you said,
Come
it's
back
the
down to
Patriots.
earth.
It's
Yeah.
like, okay, finally, like give somebody else a chance, but I don't want it to be at the expense of Newton because I like Newton and
Yeah. I do
not
too. And part of what I'm saying is, get this win. I want Cam Newton and the Patriots playing meaningful football late in the year.
right, and this game indicates that they won't be.
It's well, this is my take, is that it's hard to win in the NFL. It is. I don't care who it is. And I know the Jets look off with 0-8, but Flacco actually played pretty well in this game. He went back to some old school like Raven stuff with him and Brashad Perriman throwing touchdowns. And when you're 2-5 and about to fall to 2-6, everything is so much more difficult. And it's so difficult just to be a bad Jets team. I think a win like this, although it should be meaningless, can translate and get this team going in the right direction,
Yeah, no, I agree.
But a huge game for New England coming up in Week 10 on Sunday Night Football. 3-5 Patriots are going to be hosting the Baltimore Ravens.
That's going to be that's a pivot game right there.
It is.
For both teams.
For both teams, exactly. If you're Lamar Jackson and the Ravens and you lose that game, man, that's a bad loss.
Yeah. And if you lose this game, if you lose this game as a Patriots fan, you're thinking, man.
Then you're 3-6. But let's say the Patriots find a way to win that game. Then they're on a 2-game winning streak. They just beat Lamar Jackson. Momentum starts to swing right there.
Right. They need, and the thing is, like, a lot of people could sit here and say, like, oh, well, look what the Patriots are without Brady. Well, look what Brady, what happened to Brady the other day. It's not just Brady, so you can't, that right there, debunks that. There's something you can't, if you want to as a Patriots fan, put it all on Newton. I feel bad for you because you're missing a lot.
Yeah.
They've, like you said, it's hard to win in the NFL.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of issues in New England. On top of COVID, it's been really tough on New England this year, too.
Right, and yeah.
Go ahead, Dustin. What do you think of, a big win for the Patriots? I know it's the Jets, but a big win and a huge game coming up on Sunday Night Football at home against the Ravens. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And, I love seeing Bill Belichick go through adversity because if there's any man that can come back from going through adversity.
Exactly. Yeah.
And showing a team how to come back going through adversity is definitely Bill Belichick. And I think he might have a trick up his sleeve or two, you can never, ever sleep on him. And I feel like this could be a dangerous game for the Ravens. I'm going to go out on a loop, and I'm going to choose the Patriots to win that game.
I like the way you're thinking. I really do. I think if anyone's going to have like a surprise or a defense ready for Lamar Jackson, it's going to be Belichick. And I would love to see it. Like I said, I want Cam Newton and these Patriots playing meaningful games down the stretch. They get on a 2-game winning streak here. Maybe this is the last chance for New England to save their season. Monday night and coming up on Sunday night. So maybe they can get it done. Jets heading straight for Trevor Lawrence. I want to get you guys' opinion on this. Jets all in on Trevor Lawrence. If you're the Jets, are you 100% taking Trevor Lawrence and then you're going to move Sam Darnold and see what you can get for him? Or are you considering getting that number 1 pick and trading back and building around Sam Darnold? What would you guys do?
Well, honestly, does Trevor Lawrence even want to go there? That's still up in the air. I mean,
it is.
Go on Eli Manning, you know, and I mean,
it's going to help once they fire Adam Gase too.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I say you should probably, man, this is tough because Darnold hasn't been able to show his full potential with Gase at coach, man, because Gase is terrible. But this is a hard decision. But if I was the Jets, yeah, I'd probably move Darnold and go after Lawrence.
Yeah. What do you think, Bret? It's a good opportunity for the Jets here to turn things around. It's an important decision.
I mean, yeah, you know, again, like the whole, do you trade it away? Does it work out? You know, go with Darnold. I don't know. You've been tanking for a reason, and you know, if it doesn't end up working out with Lawrence for some reason, then you can just, I don't know. You can, I don't know what's going to happen at that point, but you at least put your, you know, did what you were. If you change it up right now, you better get something amazing. What are they going to trade for? You know, what's the package going to be? Like, what's even what's reasonable, like where Madden would accept it?
Well, I think that of all years, of all draft picks, I think they could get an awful lot for it if they play their hand right. A team like the Jaguars or a team like a bad team that's like pick number 4, 5, 6 that normally wouldn't be able to get Trevor Lawrence might offer something crazy. You never know. Remember the trade that Washington made to move up to get RG3?
Yeah, and I don't know what teams have what. I'm sure there's several bad teams out there with multiple first and second round picks, but just, you know, if there's a trade proposal, it's gonna be, even if it doesn't go through, it's gonna be one of the most historic proposals ever.
Yeah, it would be, and Dustin has a really good point. Will Trevor Lawrence play for the Jets if he is drafted by them? And that'll be huge. And I think highly dependent on who the head coach is. If I'm the Jets, this is what I'm doing. I'm going all in for head coach Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs to make him my head coach. And along with a new GM potentially. I love the combination of putting Louis Riddick at GM and Eric Bieniemy at head coach. I think that would be awesome. And then if you can let's say you bring in Eric Bieniemy and you're in that number 1 spot, I'm absolutely taking Trevor Lawrence, and I'll move Sam Darnold and let someone else develop Sam Darnold. Trevor Lawrence is one of those, in my opinion, can't-miss prospects coming out, like a Joe Burrow, that if you've got the opportunity, you don't trade away from that. You take that guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you start fresh like that with both of them, you know, new quarterback, new coach, you're right. That makes the most sense, you know, formula-wise. But if they keep Darnold and get the new, you know, Darnold, I don't know, man.
And there's no one saying Darnold can't turn it around and become good. And someone's going to be, you know, consider themselves pretty happy to have Sam Darnold. But,
yeah, like Dustin was saying, he hasn't been able to show his full potential under this just horrific, you know. I'm surprised that Darnold still even, we're talking about him at this point.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Give him a shot in Indy. I would love to see what he can do under Frank Reich.
Yeah. Put Sam Darnold in a better situation with weapons around him and a good coach, and you know, who knows what can happen. I don't think the story is written on him, but
give him a chance at least.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if Trevor Lawrence wants to go to the Jets. I think that's a good question. That could be a little Eli Manning, John Elway in 2021.
Because, you know, the thing that made me laugh forever was when I saw comments of people saying, like, oh, well, he'll just go back to Clemson. And I was like, you're out of your mind.
Really? Yeah.
Like, this dude wants to get paid.
Yeah.
So, and plus he can get hurt, even if he sits out a year. Like,
yeah. Screw going back to Clemson. I'll just demand a trade.
Right. Yeah. But what happens then?
Who knows? then you're, who knows? And who knows if you'll go to the spot where you want to go and play for the coach you want to go. Best bet is for the Jets to put the perfect situation in their building and be like, come on, Trevor Lawrence, we're going to turn everything around just for you.
Right, because if he does say, I don't want to play for you, then the Jets, aren't going to get as much as what we're talking about this historic trade could be, because then at that point, teams are going to realize, like, okay, he doesn't want to go there. We're not going to give you this, and that, like, because he might come here anyway. This could be a huge, huge loss. This, if you tank and then he doesn't go there and you get nothing for him, like, wow.
What sets it all up is the Jets have to be very smart about their next GM and head coach. They have to get it right. If they hire the guys that Trevor Lawrence trusts and are the right guys, then they can sell him on it, I think. But you can't go into that draft with Adam Gase or the shit culture that the Jets have had for a while now and be like, this is what we're offering. No one wants to go play with that.
No, and I think anybody new makes the right decision, whether it's go with Lawrence or make the trade.
Yeah.
But if they're gonna at least, like you said, they're gonna be level-headed about it, knowing what is reasonable, what's gonna be the most efficient for them, short term and most importantly down the road. And Gase, it can either get really. It's either going to get really good here in New York or, seeing potential, or it's going to get to a level of dumpster fire that nobody's even could imagine. Like, I'm excited. It's awesome.
Yeah, I know. Either way, it's going to be fun to talk about. Wait, you have any last comments on it, Dustin?
I was just thinking where, like, as you mentioned, there are teams like Jacksonville that can throw pieces out there to the Jets, to where they can remain with Darnold, and Jacksonville can go out and get a Trevor Lawrence, or even let's say the Patriots completely collapse. You're telling me they won't give up big pieces to go get Lawrence at number one?
Yeah, who knows? I think
him with Bill would be disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different options here. I'm excited to see it. I mean, if the Bears continue to go with Nick Foles and start losing out, let's say we get a top, 12 pick, I would be in favor of, whoever I am, if I need a franchise quarterback, I got my eyes on Trevor Lawrence. I mean, there's some other options. Zach Wilson potentially, Justin Fields. Who else am I missing? I mean, Newman, Mac Jones. So we'll see, but we're starting to get to that point where we're going to be talking about the drafts and these prospects coming through and teams tanking. So it's going to be a fun rest of the year. Heading into Week 10. Great to have you guys back on. It was fun after taking a week off, and next week we're going to have a player interview and more NFL content. So appreciate you guys, and we're going to keep it going. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. It's a lot of fun. Appreciate the support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and have a great week, guys. Peace out.